Hey, Brian from Garage Hall. Today I have this digital highlighter, and I wasn't quite sure what this was or how to use it or what I would use it for. I knew it was a highlighter, but that was about it. So anyway, to give you an example, this is one of the books that I've written. It's called Management Experience by me, the author, and so if I were to be teaching this in a classroom setting and I wanted to go chapter by chapter as you would any textbook in class, you would basically open it up and there's going to be parts that you would want to highlight in your textbook just to emphasize, key points in your chapter or something the professor said that you want to take special noteworthy information about. And so you could basically do a couple things with this. Okay, so there is a app that you get on your phone that works in unison with this, and it was a little difficult for me to get in, to understand, to get how it works. But after I spent a few minutes just taking my time, I found this rather useful. Especially if I were going back into college or university to get higher education, better and more robust degrees than I have already. I would absolutely probably use this. And so what you do is after you download the app onto your phone, open it up, get it. There's obviously a sign-in process you got to go through. I synced it up with one of my Google accounts, and it basically was pretty easy to go from there. Connecting this to your phone as well was pretty easy. As soon as I got into the app, turned this little unit on, it immediately was recognized. I can't share personal information with you about how I did that, but it's pretty easy to do, that you can go along and figure it out. So what I did was, so this is my book. Hopefully you can see it on the screen there. And basically you can scan the ISBN in, and that will load up all the correct information for whatever book you're using. It worked great for this one. Again, Management Experience by me, the author. And so what you can do is you can basically turn this on simply by holding and tapping this little button here on the side. And obviously make sure that's fully charged. Okay, so you turn this on by basically removing the cap, and then it's going to basically say warming up. And then once it kind of like boots up, you have this clear lens that you're looking through the text with. And just give you an idea, when you hit this, it will give off a light because it's going to be basically scanning onto whatever book you're looking for. And you want to scroll through this real quick first, and it's going to give you a general idea of, so you have your book here ready to go. And click on highlights, and then you want to go back. And then when you go back on that, it's basically going to have all your notes that you've basically highlighted. Let me bring that up so you can kind of see that closer. Maybe even a little bit closer yet. So, I'll give you an idea. So, let's say you're going through a textbook, and this is page 1. If you grew up and had lived on the East Coast, you are more than familiar with Crazy Yetis. So, this is basically one of the first chapters of my book. It's page 7. So it's going to go through, or page 1 for example, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight that line. So basically what you're doing is you're putting the tip of the highlighter on this, and you are holding down and you are basically scrolling through the text and then grabbing the next line. And then we'll do the next one. And then that's basically it. So that is the first line of the book that I'm highlighting. After you basically are done, after a couple seconds, it'll save it to the highlighter. Put the highlighter down. Open up your app. And then what you are going to do is you're basically clicking that little button, and it's going to say connected. go back, and it's going to basically be saying syncing iMark data. So it's going to sync it really fast for you. And then we go back again, and then this is basically what I had highlighted. And I'll give you kind of a view of that, and hopefully we'll get the camera to focus in. But as you can tell, that first line is basically, I'll read it to you. If you grew up or had lived on the East Coast, you're probably more than familiar with Crazy Eddie's. This was an electronics store that hired a rather crazy DJ, Jerry Carroll, to be their spokesperson. So that was basically the first couple lines that I highlighted on this. Now, this is where I guess the usefulness of this came in. So if you're going over something in text, in a textbook, or you're even reading something that you want to highlight and go back to, this is a fantastic tool. And again, it took me a little while to be like, hey, this is really useful. My, I guess, light bulb moment was, again, I'll hold this up so you can kind of take a look, was that these are all like the little excerpts from this first chapter that I highlighted. So I can put it right here on the app. I have access to it, and I can go through, and it basically hits all the key points of whatever you're reading or whatever you're going over in class. So again, if you're reading a book and you want to get like the key points of it, keep this by your side. Simply turn it on. So we'll grab another page. Let's turn a page. So just hold it down, push, and it will light up. And you basically just kind of like just scan through that line. And you can kind of like stop at any time you want on that line. And then now it's saved. And when I pull down and refresh it, it is going to sync that into the app. So now you have basically like notes on your phone scanned in from whatever you are reading. And this will work on basically anything that has text. So if you have like a, an Amazon Kindle per se, and there's something in there that you want to like transfer, you can scan it very easily through this as well, and it will pick up and it will give you like a summary of all the highlights of whatever chapter you're reading in text. So again, little clunky to get the hang of what this does, how it works, and the usefulness of it. It took me a while. I was kind of like, I don't know why I need this. It was one of those things where I was like, pretty cool. All right, let me get it and see what it does. Absolutely fantastic. It really is. So now I have all the highlights, all the key points of any book or text or anything that I'm reading right here in the app, and I can go back and just summarize as I go. Disadvantages, the only thing I can say is sometimes when you have a tangible book, it's nice to flip through your different chapters and have things that are highlighted. But if you're going through being a diligent student or a diligent reader of texts, of books, you can easily put all that information right here. And again, when you go back, you have your books, and I can like kind of show you that better. So you'll have your book covers that you can scan through of all the books that you've gone through and taken notes on. Go back to it at any time, and then you just have that summary of highlights right there in front of you, and you can read up and down. And I found that to be a lot quicker than just kind of like scrolling through. I felt like as I was scrolling through the notes on this, that I could read them a lot faster than going through a book. I have it here, all the time. Obviously, this is a lot lighter than to be carrying a bunch of these around with you. So if you're studying, typically you're going to be studying the stuff that you highlighted. You probably have the summary in your head from reading it, but those highlights will help you get those key points. I think this is probably an invaluable product for any student or voracious reader out there. If you are into getting quick, easy, fast notes, highlights from what you are going through, this is going to be an invaluable tool to you. It really will be. Like I said, definitely a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning, but after I got through that, I wish I had this when I was in college and university. This would be a fantastic tool to add to your learning arsenal. Anyway, a little bit of a long review of this, but I think it was absolutely necessary just because, again, I found it a little wonky in the beginning trying to use it, but now, man, like, seeing the usefulness of this, hands-on, absolutely worthwhile. I hope that I explained that as well as I could in the highlights that I showed you, but that is this wonderful piece of technology. Anyhow, Brian from Garage Mall, thanks for watching, and be safe out there.